Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Betting Connection podcast. My name's Chris. I'm here for our weekly session with my co-host Rob, who must be a very proud Dutchman because not one but two Dutch teams qualified to the next round of the Champions League, knocking out Italian giants Juventus and AC Milan. Rob, how are you doing?
Yay! Very happy for the Dutch teams. Are we better than the Serie A now? Like, is that
Wow.
improvement? I think definitely when you look at the money that we can spend as a whole nation, as clubs, yeah, unbelievable result. And yeah, I watched them both matches. A little bit more Feyenoord, to be honest, but. Good games, and it's going to be very tough in the next round. They are also doing very good in Europa League. Ajax and AZ continued. FC Twente got knocked out in the very last minute of the game. So they had a penalty against them and then they lost in overtime. But besides that, happy days in Holland. Happy days, a lot of money coming in.
Yeah, it must be very good for your coefficient as well in terms of what that can bring going forward with maybe extra teams into these competitions. And as you
Yeah,
say, the money as well, Rob. I was listening to a radio show the other day that was talking about the money that Celtic were getting just to get to the stage that they got to, and how damaging it would be for the rest of Scottish Premier League because it was just so superior in terms of money for the Scottish League. It's so big now. I imagine it's something similar in the Dutch in terms of kind of spending power.
I
So
actually
this is
know
huge.
how much money they made.
Yeah,
Take a
go on.
guess. Yeah, what Feyenoord,
I
I think they wrote an article about it. So how much money did Feyenoord made already? Uh,
I
just
want to
in
say
Champions
something
League.
crazy like 100 million. Is it as much as that?
70. 70.
70. Yeah, I knew it was big. I knew it was big.
And I think like the normal general budget, I think for in Holland, like a big team is like 30, 40 million. And if you look at the lower ranked teams, it's like 15 till 20. And then second division is probably like 5 till 10. So you can see how much money that is. And they also sold Jimenez, so that's approximately like 100 million coming in the bank. So it wasn't the best of seasons in the league so far for Feyenoord, but definitely financially wise, they did very well.
Incredible, and we find out today who they will play in the next round. I know one of them is going to be playing Arsenal. I think the other one would play Inter Milan, maybe. I think it
Exactly.
could be.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So another Italian giant for one of them, and Arsenal for the other. So some blockbuster matches coming up.
definitely. So very excited for the Dutch teams. And yeah, as you said, we're leaving Portugal behind in the coefficient at the moment for now. So we still have two teams in the Champions League and one qualifying. So yeah, could be.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, really good. And look, I've got a soft spot for Dutch football. I think in general the style of football has always been a bit quicker, a little bit more. Obviously, the quality is not as good as the Premiership, but when you watch other European leagues, and you just get a sense of how different the tempo is, different the way that the game ebbs and flows. It is a more similar style in Holland to England compared to some other countries. So I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the way they play football, and great to see them, competing at the top.
We're a lot slower and a lot less intensity, to be honest. And I think that's what makes the English league unique and maybe very tough to play against them, or definitely looks like it. But then again, if you look at like some Spanish teams, they might have not the same intensity, but they're so technical that they can maybe outplay the pressure, they're fine with the high pressure. So they don't put on the high pressure because you're doing it for nothing, because the players just play it around if they keep their calmness. Maybe that's a thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's slow and not intense, but you don't get the same feeling when you watch a Spanish game. It is so like slow, and then obviously they are so technically brilliant. That's without doubt. But it isn't the same. I don't know. Like even my wife will say, who doesn't watch football, like she'll notice the difference because like just for her that's got no clue of what she's watching can see the difference between a Spanish game and English game, and Holland and Germany even have a little bit more similarities to the way an England game appears when you're watching it, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
you want as a fan probably you want to see the team like give it them all, 100%, and you want to see the team attacking, like scoring goals. And I think in England you have the perfect mix of that. And you also like American football, so like what comes a little bit closer to American football, that's probably the Premier League with intensity. So there you go.
And I think the fans as well. Like, there's a big difference, or a lot more similarities between the fans in England, Germany, and Holland compared to Spain and Italy, for example.
Yeah, that's that as well. Yeah, I think definitely the crowds in England and Germany are very motivated to support their team and really chants, lots of chants and a lot of singing and springing and dancing. So yeah, the Dutch are similar in that we also have hooliganism, but besides that, I don't think the Dutch are so like yeah, you have Feyenoord that really stands out as a team, and PSV as well during Europa nights is they don't seem to lose, so there must be something.
It must be something. Okay, anyway, let's move on to all things betting. Last week we chatted here. We mentioned loads of games that we like. We put some shorter pods out at the weekend, official ones. It did really well, actually. The Sunday one that I put out on Sunday was really good. Two games of even or better with Mainz and Roma came in and did the job. So that was nice. It was a very nice Sunday.
Very well done, Mr. Chris. Very well
Yeah,
done.
it was. I stayed away from Fiorentina. Remember, we mentioned Fiorentina on the pod last week. One thing I didn't know at the time was Moises Kean was not playing. And when you look at the goal distribution in that team, he takes a big percentage of it with goals and assists. So I just wasn't as confident. And I saw that the bookies were starting to, it was going out and out and out. It started at 1.9 that game. It ended up at 2.25. So they weren't being backed, and I got cold feet right at the last minute. I was literally preparing a pod to talk about them, and yeah, just decided no, and went for the other two, and rightly so. So look, we talk about it. We still want to talk about our picks for the weekend here early. Okay, we're doing a few Fridays recently, but we like to do that's just personal reasons. But usually we like to get it out early. But there's some advantages to that, but there are some disadvantages, and that is one of them. Sometimes you just gain more information as you get closer to a match. But look, the idea here, Rob, is still that we are here to talk about the games for the weekend. We're still looking at the betting angles. We're still talking about analysis and stats, and that's what we're here to do. But we like to lock them down a little bit more closer to the time.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. Spot on.
Okay. Okay, so without further ado, as I always like to say, let's crack on to this weekend. Let's
Okay.
start. Let's start in the Premiership, Rob. There's only one game to start at. I think it's the Man City versus Liverpool match. Been an interesting week for both teams. Have you got any opinion on this one?
My opinion on this match, it's very hard, I think, to predict again. It's very hard. You can see Manchester City is still in trouble. They had a tough time against Real Madrid when they in the Champions League. Not convincing at all, but Liverpool is also has a very tough schedule at the moment. They didn't take away all the 3 points in Villa during midweek and then again play away from home against Manchester City. I do lean towards Liverpool because, and I also lean towards goals as well. I think both teams just keep on playing football and yeah, I think like I watched the Liverpool match and they played like Everton or no, Villa had so much intensity as well during that match, and I'm not sure if Manchester City does that the same way. Like they try to attack a little bit more, so there must be a little bit more space behind them compared to when Liverpool plays the other teams as well. What's your opinion about that match?
What my opinion on this match is okay, there's two sides to this, I think. On the Liverpool side, I think it's going to be dependent on what Arsenal do on Saturday. I think if Arsenal do beat West Ham and they beat West Ham comfortably, even with the shortage of forward options, I do think that psychologically that's going to start affecting Liverpool because it is a massive advantage when you're in a title run-in to be playing first in a weekend, always. Because if you get to strike that blow, it does make it a little bit harder for the other team in the following match. And obviously, playing away at Man City, it depends what man. Are we going to get the Man City that played against Newcastle at the weekend, which was resemblant a little bit of their best, or are we going to get the Man City that absolutely folded in the week against Real Madrid? That's the question as well. My gut feeling here a little bit is actually leaning towards Man City, and the reason why I say that is I think Pep waved the white flag on Wednesday night. I really do. I think he mentioned it in pre-match interview that they had like a 5% chance of winning. He later tried to cover his own comments. That was a really bad comment to make. Don't know what kind of message that sends to your team. But anyway, he said it and he acted like it. There was a lot of players that I think had little knocks, weren't really injured, but they had knocks, and he decided to leave them all on the bench. And then, so for me, that's waving the white flag. He'd already talked about it. He then acted upon it. And then, as soon as Real Madrid scored really early, the whole team waved the white flag. So I think really what's more important, I think Guardiola knows that he is not going to win the Champions League. Well, obviously not now, but even before the game, he's not going to win the Champions League this year. It is imperative as a club that Man City get back into the Champions League. So I think this game is more important than the Real Madrid game. I think that's how he played it on Wednesday. And I think that's how they will approach it on Sunday. So I am leaning towards Man City, especially if Arsenal do a good job on Saturday.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Like I think it's a no bet for us, to be honest.
Oh, it's
Such a
100% a no
game
bet, by
fun
the way,
for us.
guys. It's definitely a no bet, guys.
But yeah, could be fun.
You mentioned goals there, Rob. Even money for 3.5,
Oh,
over
not
three
that
and a
bad.
half,
Not that bad.
over
Maybe
three
you
and a
could
half.
take like it on a handicap as well. So you also have the 3 goal line in hand.
Yeah, I don't know. It should have goals. I think Liverpool look a little bit suspect at times, and Man City look terrible at times. But then I expected Newcastle to do something last week, and they kept a first clean sheet for ages against them. So I would stay clear of Man City right now. I don't think you know which you're going to get at the moment, and that could be damaging either way.
Okay, let's. What do you else have? Anything else that you like in England?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, this weekend, I like a lot of games, but they're all under the kind of value price that we like of 1.7 upwards. I've got a lot around 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. There's a couple like that in the Premiership this weekend. One being, well, Brighton, for example, away at Southampton, 1.55. Is that one that you like?
Yeah, I also have written that down and I found the price of 1.6. So definitely always shop around. So maybe you can find a little bit better price on them as well.
I mean, Southampton are just clearly the worst team in the league.
Yeah, just 9 points so far.
Yeah, crazy. They've lost 7 of the last 8, I think. And Brighton did a good job on Chelsea last week, which was strange considering the previous match was that 7-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. But generally speaking, they're in decent enough form. It's a little bit of a mixed bag generally, but they've only lost 2 in the last 8. They've got, like I say, good wins against Chelsea, Man United. They drew with Arsenal. They drew away at Villa. So they've had a quite tough run as well, and they've still managed to get points on the board. Southampton is just nothing to talk about. I mean, they've lost all but two home games this season. Lost all but two home games this season, only picking up results against Everton, which I think was way back when they were poor, and a home draw to Ipswich. That is it. They've lost every other game.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, I think you just got to fade Southampton at every opportunity. And at 1.55 or 1.6, as you say, it's definitely one to put on Acca's and doubles and trebles.
Yeah, definitely.
Another one. Sorry, Ro, another one that is similar in price. I'm not as confident on it, but I still think it's a good play. Is Bournemouth at home to Wolves?
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that one as well. I already knew that you had written this one as down as again. Yeah, Bournemouth just keeps on impressing, and they played Southampton last weekend. They won quite convincingly, and yeah, I do like them. Maybe it's a little bit short because, as we always say, the Premier League is very competitive. Wolverhampton is not a pushover. Maybe like the price on Bournemouth is a little bit short, but then again, if you look at their results so far this season, they are chasing down that top four. So they definitely want to win at home against a Wolverhampton side that is struggling.
Yeah, Wolves are struggling, and the only thing that I will say about, because when you look at their form in general, it's bad. They've lost five of their last six matches. But those six matches, in fact, you can even, well, I'll tell you who the opposition was in those last six matches: Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest. That's their last six matches. It doesn't get much tougher than that. And then even if you go back further than that, it was against Tottenham and Man United. Now they actually got 4 points from those two matches, and obviously not the Tottenham and Man United that we know usually. But even still, if you just look at that 8 games on paper, it's pretty horrific. And they got 7 points out of it as a relegation candidate. They'll probably be happy with 7 points from those fixtures. So, and look, they were competitive against Liverpool last week. So, look, I don't think this is a banker by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not as confident on this as I am of Brighton. But yeah, Bournemouth, yeah, like you say, continue to impress. Won
Yes.
three of the last four, only lost one in the last eight. That was the one against Liverpool, which I felt they were fairly unlucky on the day as well. So, yeah, it's one to play, but with caution on this one, I would say.
I concur.
You concur. Anything else in the Premier League?
Not really betting wise. I think for me it was just the Bournemouth match and definitely fading Southampton again with a Brighton win. That were the picks for me.
I like the price on Aston Villa. Aston Villa playing at home to Chelsea. It's not one that you can confidently back. But bearing in mind Chelsea's recent slump and Aston Villa, okay, Aston Villa are not in the most amazing forms neither, but they are a really good home team, as Liverpool found out the weekend. In fact, Villa have only lost once all season at home. That was to Arsenal. And they've mostly won their games. They do throw in, the problem with Villa, they always throw in a weird draw at home as well, like last week to Ipswich. There's always kind of one or two of those with Villa. But Chelsea, like, they've been really poor recently, haven't they? They're starting to get found out a little bit. They got spanked by Brighton last week. They got spanked by Man City in their previous away match. And they also lost to Ipswich away recently as well. So they're losing away from home. Villa are one of the strongest home teams. At what have we got here? 2.63. I saw it at 2.7 yesterday. I just think it's a nice price to have a play with Villa.
Yeah, Villa was very energetic, as I said, against when they played against Liverpool, and I think the new signings really helped them as well. Like getting like the new energy around the club as well. If you have like Rashford, like everyone's hoping, or At least I think so. If you're an Englishman, you're hoping he can like restart or come back to form a little bit. And at least he was trying a lot, and he has the number 9 shirt, so he must think like, okay, I'm gonna show everyone what's what. And you had the Dutch guy coming in as well, Malen, who was very energetic. If you can bring him on in like the
Yeah, nearly scored the
7
winner,
minutes.
didn't they? Nearly scored the
Oh,
winner.
yeah, he had a couple of chances, but I think that's the main thing with Malen, that he doesn't have total composure on like the level of the elite players. Like he's very good, he's very fast, he's very unpredictable, and he can really beat a man. And definitely when you can bring in on in like the last 20 minutes and the defender's already a little bit fatigued and the play opens up, then you have a lot with him going deep, going deep, and he definitely had the chance to win that game. So yeah, so I like the bet. What's the odds on Aston Villa?
2.63 at the moment. Like I say, 2.7 yesterday it was. So yeah, in that ballpark.
Yeah, that says it all. It's not like, again, it's not like a sure thing that could happen, but for that price and for the all the reasons that you were telling before, I like that bet. So yeah, I like that play.
Yeah, basically Chelsea are exactly the same odds as well, funny enough, which I think is too short considering they're the
The
away
only
team and in
thing
the worst form.
The only thing that could put me off is the unpredictability of Chelsea, and yeah, and as well the random Aston Villa draws at home. But then again, I think it's a little bit of a different Aston Villa at the moment because of the new signings and of the new energy and of how they seem to play well in the matches against those big teams as well. So
I think that's Villa's problem. I think they can't turn up sometimes against the smaller teams, especially if they've had a lot of games in succession as well, like they have been with Champions League and whatnot. So, yeah, I think that they'll be up for this as well. Big game in the week. They will be a little bit tired, but I think they'll turn up for it. But it's one to play with caution. But I do like the price, and I think for the same price on Chelsea, I think I would lean towards Villa.
okay.
Okay, just before we move on, there is one other interesting match on Sunday: Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. Definitely staying away from this one, but Nottingham Forest are a nice price at 4.2.
Wow, yeah, definitely interesting if you like the underdog bets.
Yeah, that's all that's needed to say, really. If you like an underdog bet, that's one to go for. I would say Newcastle. So again, you just don't know which Newcastle you're going to get sometimes. So they're a hard team to back with confidence, which is why maybe taking a lean towards the underdog is worth a shout. You know, they have lost certain games at home, like your Bournemouths, and they got spanked by City last week. 4.2, yeah, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Let's move on to your homeland, Rob. My goodness, this league. PSV stumbled again. Ajax now clear top by 2 points with a game in hand. I'm regretting not taking them for the title. What was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? They were 4.0 to win the league. PSV were
Yeah.
only 1.2. Didn't do it. Never going to get that price again. What are your thoughts?
Main reason probably who's putting you off this Ajax bet is me. So sorry for that.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Cheers.
And yeah, to be honest, I have to stay with my point. I still think PSV gonna win the title eventually. But yeah, still fair play for Ajax. Definitely earned the respect. They don't need to my respect, by the way. They could do definitely without. But they've done really well, and Farioli did an unbelievable job by turning it around this well. And again, like yesterday in the Europa League, they went down. They were 2-0 up because they won away from a home against Saint Union last week. Then they were 1-0 down. Then Davy Klaassen, the guy who scored 100 goals for them last weekend, he tries to go be a goalkeeper and saves the ball from the line with his hands. Of course, red card and a penalty. So you're 2-0 down with 10 men and you have still 70 minutes to go. So imagine that, what a turnaround. But this is the season for Ajax. and Ajax managed to get the goal at the end with a penalty, and yeah, they still went on through with 10 men and 70 minutes to play. So that's the kind of Ajax that you were dealing with. So they keep on winning.
Keep on winning. And there's not many games this weekend in the Eredivisie. You do have Ajax playing again. And do you fancy them at home to go ahead Eagles 1.55?
Mm, no, to be honest, I think it's maybe a little bit too short. There seems to be a little trend of Dutch teams that played during midweek in Europe that they're not really performing well during the weekend. And that's what's putting me off of all the teams this weekend. So you have all big teams playing at home, Ajax, Twente, AZ, Feyenoord, but all of them played in Europe as well. And a little bit afraid of go-ahead Eagles. If it wasn't go-ahead Eagles, I would like Ajax, but Go Ahead Eagles is second in the form table. They really seem to have picked up form lately. They beat the likes of FC Twente as well, 3-1, convincingly lately. And yeah, I think 1.55 is too short for Ajax. What do you think?
My gut instinct does tell me Ajax will win this match. I understand that Go Ahead Eagles are in decent form, but they've only lost one in the last eight, but that was away at Heracles, and they've only won one of their last four away from home, which was to Fortuna Sittard. Their away form generally is mixed and heavily weighted. Well, not heavily weighted. They've lost away to some poor teams as well. They did lose resoundingly away at PSV. I just think when they're away from home against a good team, it's not usually as good. So my gut is with Ajax here. I will put them on the student Acca as well. But I will, a word of warning actually, there's been four draws in the last five meetings between these two teams. So yeah, it's definitely a potential banana skin, but gut instinct will go with Ajax to continue their hot streak.
Okay, okay, that's yeah. I'm staying away
And
from it, but
and the other one,
should win it.
FC 20 this weekend. You like
Yeah,
that one against NEC?
similar, similar. Like I don't like the unpredictability of the Dutch league sometimes. I don't think the prices are a little bit too short, and if I take in that both of those teams, Ajax and FC Twente, not only played 90 minutes during midweek, but they played 120 minutes during midweek. So for me, it's no bet this weekend.
Okay, I'm going to disagree again
I
and
know,
lean
I know.
towards an FC 20 as well. And this one is also going on the student Acca. Yeah, I think they're a really strong home team. I understand what you're saying about midweek, but you're talking about playing a team that are getting spanked away from home on the regular. They lost they lost last week, last time out away from home, and they also recently lost 4-1 to Willem two. Do you say Willem two? That one,
Yeah,
Willem two,
Willem
Willem two
II.
4-1. They lost to Go Ahead Eagles themselves 5-0. So they've been spanked around away from home recently. They're in okay-ish form. It's not terrible, but they've lost every time they've played a team in the top half away from home. They've lost. So I am going to back FC 20 here to get the job done. They've only PSV and Ajax have a better home record than them this season, and I'm going to back them.
I think all those teams should win at home. For me, it's just that we have so many matches to pick and choose from, that there are some things that I don't like about those matches. Similar as you said about Bournemouth, or like I don't like the unpredictability of Chelsea. And I think it's always about finding those gems for you that you really like on every part of the game. But all of those matches are definitely leans for me as well. So they should win, but I don't play them all.
Yeah, they're
Maybe
not.
I
They're
can
not heavily backed. Not heavily backed. Anything else in the Eredivisie? Have you got anything in the second division for this weekend?
No, got it by the last Friday. I'm not sure if you saw that, but we got a clear winner on the first leg, and then the second team, like they had 8 or 9 clear-cut chances. So they had like a XG, and I know you don't like the XG too much,
No,
but
I love XG, by the way. I know we had the
2.5 or 2 point, I don't know, like a lot. Like I watched the highlights as well, and they was just big chance after big chance. They didn't score until the 92nd minute. So they were 1-0 up, 5 minutes of added on playing time. The opponent didn't even had a shot on goal, but it was a cross in the 95th minute, and the defender was like clear of everyone, tried to kick it away, but miskicked it and kicked it in his own goal. So it was a 1-1 draw. Oh my God, that was the start of the Friday, and I thought, wow, the weekend still has to start.
that was a kick in the balls for sure. So so you're staying away this weekend.
This weekend, staying. No, I didn't like the matches this weekend. Didn't like the matchup. I had a look at it, but nothing I really fancied this time. So maybe next week.
Okay, before we move to Spain, I just thought I'd mention that PSV, you still think the PSV will win the league. 2.2 is the price now. So you're getting better than even money if you want to put your money where your mouth is, Rob.
Not putting my money where my mouth is. Yeah, not putting my money. You have to be smart with my money, right? My
Well,
opinions,
absolutely. That's what
my
we're here to
opinions can
do.
be fine, but money, I have to be betting smart.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, we move to Spain?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't actually have anything in Spain for this weekend. There's no value. All the teams are too short, and also I find that they can't be trusted as potentially as well. So I don't know if you've found something that I haven't for this weekend, Rob.
No, not really. I do. We spoke about the title race, and it switched again all around, right? Because Barcelona is now on top, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, with 51 points. It's a real good race. Maybe Athletic Club is still in it with just 6 points behind. Imagine if they won last weekend.
I
Uh,
know. I know I backed them as well, didn't I? So it's a shame, but yeah.
I know. So they're really. I think all the big teams should win. I think Barca should win. Real should win. Atletico, I just don't like that Valencia is quite unpredictable at the moment. And Athletic should win, but as you said, they're all quite short. So if
Have you
you,
seen the price? Have you seen the price on Athletic Club?
yeah, that was unbelievable. It's 1.17. I found.
1.17. I know. Look, they're playing our favourite team to fade this season in Valladolid. I know they're poor, but that's the price that you get Real Madrid at home to Valladolid or Barcelona at home to Valladolid, not Athletic Bilbao. That's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. After that, they just draw last week against Espanyol.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely expect Bilbao to win, but there's no value in it whatsoever. You mentioned the Valencia match there. Atletico is the only one with a value price, if you like, 1.91 away to Valencia. But this is not the same Valencia team as it was 6 weeks ago. So yeah, I would stay away from that. Valencia have actually started to turn it around, haven't they? They've started to get some results, including a good away draw last week at Villarreal. They won three of the previous four to that. The only loss there was away at Barcelona. Yeah, I don't love it.
No, me neither.
I don't love it at all. And Atletico Madrid are good away from home generally, but there have been draws sprinkled in there. They've had one really bad away loss at Leganes as well. So, yeah, don't love it at all, this one. And yeah, would stay away.
Yeah, me as well. I'm staying away. I do like Real and Barcelona for the big Gun Acca because they're like they should be part of the big Gun Acca, like Barca and Real Madrid. Definitely when they are in a title race, but it's not my. I don't like this big Gun Acca the most. Like I do like my picks, but they are all quite short. If you want to bet them besides the big Gun Acca.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to Germany. There's a couple of interesting matches this weekend. Did you catch any of the big match last week by Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich?
No, not really. I watched the highlights, but it's hard to tell. Like the most thing that stood out for me was that Bayern München didn't had a shot on goal or shot at all for the first 45 minutes, and I think that's one of the first times ever.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, it did seem like Leverkusen were extremely unlucky not to win the match. They had to win the match to stay in the title race. I think it does look like Bayern Munich's gonna go and win that now. I think it's 8 points, isn't it? I think yeah, 8 points now. It's hard to see Leverkusen catching that.
Yeah, although Bayern didn't convince when they played against Celtic in the Champions League, and they do have to play against Eintracht Frankfurt that is in a good form. So maybe if there's something, there must be something happening this weekend if Leverkusen wants to come back in this race, but it seems to be over.
Yeah, it's weird because my gut instinct is telling me Bayern Munich will definitely win this weekend, and they haven't really given the evidence over the last week as to why that would be. But I don't know why. You just see it with Bayern Munich. They're the Bayern Munich of old. Obviously, last season apart. Last season was a complete anomaly, I think. But generally speaking, Bayern Munich somehow just claw results out when it gets to this time of year. Don't really deserve them. They get the results and then they actually finish the season in amazing form and can possibly kick on in a competition like the Champions League. And I don't know why. I look at this and I think that's way too short at 1.3, but every fibre in my body says they're going to win it, which is weird because it is a hard matchup.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I'm staying away. Like it, but we'll see. We'll see. I definitely fancy Bayern to win, but just the price is a little bit too short for me.
It's too short, but they're going on my student Acca because of the complete feeling I have towards a home win here, and I don't really know why, but I have to go with it when you have that feeling. When you just see a match, you think they're definitely going to win. There's no real reason for it. I mean, Eintracht Frankfurt have only lost one in the last eight. They're unbeaten in the last seven. But actually, when you look at Bayern Munich, they've won every match at home this season except one against Leverkusen. They've won every single match at home, and Eintracht Frankfurt, although they've had an amazing season, they have only played two of the top six away from home. They lost both, so they've still got some hard away matches to come. They've obviously lost their star man as well, so yeah, just gut feeling on this one on a student acca for Bayern Munich, but way too short to make any other plays from it.
We'll find out about your gut a lot this weekend.
Well, we will. I feel like that's putting my gut on the line. But
Not
anyway,
putting your gut on the line this time. I'm staying away from those matches, but I do put them in like a fun bet. Like I do like to add those leans in a fun bet for me, and sometimes I mix them up, like the Friday fun bet, the Saturday fun bet, and the Sunday fun bet, or maybe put them all together as a real big one if you have your best luck of the weekend and have the best, very lucky weekend. But yeah, for me, it's not like a big place at the moment.
another team that I love to fade is Heidenheim. We've spoken about this a lot. Faded them last week with Mainz. Mainz winning away. That was a nice result. Red Bull Leipzig are this weekend's opposition for Heidenheim. Red Bull Leipzig, again, is way too short at 1.36, I think it is. Yeah, 1.36, way too short. It is going on my student acca, this one as well. Just because it's Heidenheim and Leipzig not in amazing form themselves, a lot of draws there, but yeah, they should get the job done. They're generally doing okay at home, and will get the job done at home to Heidenheim. In terms of value, though, Rob, in this weekend, I don't really see it. Mainz again, if we're continuing on the Mainz train, they're 1.8 at home to St. Pauli, but St. Pauli have shown enough recently to not really, not to fancy that one heavily. St. Pauli have lost their last two, but they have thrown in some decent wins as well. So I am staying away from that.
Yeah, me too. I'm staying away from that as well.
Okay, let's move on. Have you got anything? There's Italy and France left. I've got a couple of things in France to talk about. Have you got something in Italy?
Yeah, I actually do have something to talk about in Italy.
Okay, let's go to Italy then. What have you got?
I fancy Lazio away from home against Venezia. As you know, Venezia is a team that's at the very bottom of the table and in big relegations troubles. They lost the last three matches as well. They seem to be losing to the big teams when they play at home. And if you look at Lazio, we talked about Lazio as well. They are in the pack of chasing down the Champions League spots. They're 10 points behind Napoli, so probably out of the title race. But they seem to play very well away from home against the lower ranked teams. And so I fancy them to pick up 3 points for 1.7. I found them.
Yeah, that's a good spot as well, Rob, about the lower ranked teams. They've played away from home 7 times to bottom half teams and won six of them. 6 out of 7 wins away at home. Generally speaking, at home as well, they just flat track bullies Lazio. They do. They've beaten everybody from the bottom half and they struggle more on the top half.
And that's why I like you, my stat man. Thanks for backing
Yeah.
me with your stats. And the other pick that I like is Atalanta away from home, and that's mainly because I'm fading Empoli. I just don't like Empoli. They lost their 3 matches on the bounce as well. And they have a very tough time. And Atalanta, they did slip up against Club Brugge during midweek. I didn't expect that, so they just have the league left, and they are still in the title race. If you look at them, they're 5 points behind, so this must be a must-win game for them. And it's mainly about fading Empoli, and you can even add them together as a double, Italian double.
Yeah, quite like that actually. Atalanta. What did you make of the manager's comments in the weekend? Threw Lookman under the bus for the penalty miss. No.
Oh my God, like why? It's so childish to do that. Like even if you think like that, and he's sure he's right, like why put it out in the media? Like it's never benefiting anyone in this situation. It's you can say that against your wife when you're in bed, and then maybe say against Lookman to his face, like, come on, man, next time better be smart about
Yeah.
it. But this is making such a fuss because Lookman reacted as well, right?
Yeah, he had to come out and make a public statement. So, that's not going to be harmony in the dressing room the next day, is it?
No, I probably I will search for Lookman if he's on the sheet to play Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy as well that, like, not single-handedly is a bit unfair, but he had a big impact in them winning the Europa League. So it's really unfair to point him out for that. But anyway, look, it is what
Definitely.
it is. I still expect him to play and expect him to win it against a team, Empoli, that are bottom of the form table, actually. They've only got 2 points, 2 draws in the last 8. They lost the other 6, losing at home nearly every week. And yeah, you would expect Atalanta, a team that, yeah, like Lazio, they do smash the teams at the bottom half. In fact, theirs is even better. They've won 7. They've played 8 times against bottom half teams away from home, winning 7 of them.
Here we go again. Here we go.
So yeah,
Maybe you can back me
so
again on this one because I have a final pick in Italy, and that's more of a value pick. I didn't really understand the price for Napoli. There were over even money. I think I found them at 2.2, playing away from home against Como. And we know Como did really impress against Fiorentina last Sunday. But and Napoli is not in the best of form, like they draw the last 3 games. But I do like them for their price. What do you
it's
think?
strange. It's strange. I don't know why Como keep getting prices in the bookies. I don't know if it's the Cesc Fabregas effect or
Yeah,
what, but
definitely.
the team that plays against them are always an attractive price. Now, they have caught us out a couple of times this season, to be fair, like they have. But yeah, I don't understand the price on this neither. You know,
But you're
you're
allowed to cut us off guard if you're over even money, like that's allowed, sometimes that happens. But for that price, I think Napoli is definitely backable.
And look, they've lost three of the last four games at home, Como as well. And Napoli, yeah, you say that they've drawn three in a row, but only one. So yeah, but look at it. It was the two away matches on those three games, and that was away at Lazio and away at Roma. So they're
Exactly.
two difficult away matches where you could argue actually they're two good points over the course of a season. And before that, they won away at Atalanta and away at Fiorentina. So you look at the four away matches there of Napoli, Lazio, Roma, Atalanta, and Fiorentina. They come away with 8 points. They'll be absolutely delighted with that.
Exactly. So yeah, these kinds of bets I like more than the 1.5 that I have a lot going against them. This is the only thing that's going against it is that Como sometimes has this crazy result and they play quite attacking football and they could get a result, but for this price, I would definitely back Napoli.
Yeah, they won away at Fiorentina last week, which was a surprise as well. But Fiorentina are, like we talked about them, and I stayed away for a reason, and it proved to be right. But there was other time in the season I think they won away at Atalanta. But generally speaking, I mean they've played five of the top seven at home, Como, yeah, and they've lost all five of those matches. So they've lost to everybody at the top, and Napoli are literally the top. So yeah, I like that price a lot. Actually, I didn't spot this one, funny enough, and you brought it to my attention. So thank you.
Thank you for backing again with the hat
Yeah,
trick, my stat man. So
let's hope they.
let's
Let's hope
see.
they play out that way. Okay, so just finish with France. There's nothing really here this weekend, price wise, value wise, that I like. To be honest, it's a difficult weekend's card, and there's just nothing that stands out for me. There's just one interesting play in its, I don't know how you say Angers away at Saint Etienne. Saint Etienne.
I
They're
think it's
they're
Angers, but I'm not
Angers,
Angers.
Angers are 3.0 to win this, and it's not like, oh my God, I really fancy this team to win. But Saint Etienne, like, they're pretty poor. They're third from bottom. They've lost their last three in a row. They've only won one in the last eight. In fact, they've lost five of the last eight. They're winless in seven. Like, they're just in really poor form, Saint Etienne. And Angers, they're okay. They've done all right over the last eight matches as well. So they're picking up results. They get a few losses here and there as well, but yeah, they're capable of picking up results. They're kind of mid-table, and yeah, they've played the other teams at the bottom. So they've played three of the bottom five, and they won all three. Yeah, I just thought the price just stood out 3.0 as an underdog in this match, but seemingly the better team.
Yeah, and I think the price is priced up in this way because Saint-Étienne has this new manager, Norwegian guy. He's been there for a couple of weeks now, so it's not like it's been very last minute, but there's been high hopes on him. So that's why they always fancy this team. So yeah, I do like
High,
Angers
high,
and
high,
Angers.
high hopes, Rob, but they've conceded 11 goals in the last three matches, which I assume he's been in charge of. So,
Yeah, I know, but you know those kinds of managers, you know that they're doing very well in a different kind of league, like they're cooking up the results with its specific kind of tactic, and they all found out how to play football all of a sudden. But yeah, it seems like because they are playing, I think, a different kind of formation or a different type of pressure. But it seems to be that the opponents did their homework and they seem to be caught out every time. So yeah, I do like this play on this one, and I do like Angers, who actually are turning it around a little bit. They seem to be playing better lately. So good price, good bet.
yeah, it's a good price, and I'm going to put that manager of Saint Etienne firmly in the Ruben Amorim bucket of managers at the moment. So we'll just call him for that, and back Angers at the underdog at 3.0.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the last part of the episode. Rob, have you got a top five for me this week?
I do. I do have
Okay.
a top five, and I
What's the
really like
theme?
this one. I really like the theme is players you don't want to play against when you're on the field yourself.
Players you don't want to play against, yeah?
Yeah,
And is that because of quality or because they're going to kick the crap out of you?
I
Or both?
think you can find out by the names that you put out.
And
Okay,
okay, and the way the top five will appear is not on the quality of the player. It's on literally like, yeah, number one would be the player that I would like least to play against. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Okay, I
Okay.
will start you off great because then you know the team. Thomas Gravesen.
Gravison. Five.
Okay, I will make it a Gennaro Gattuso.
Oh, Gattuso. Yeah, he was a tough mother, wasn't he? I still think you can go worse.
Yeah.
I'm going to go four.
Wow. Okay, then I will make it a little bit tougher for you then. Maybe the Vinnie Jones.
Oh, Vinnie Jones, number one, man. Number one, that guy grabs balls, man. No way. I'm not going near Vinnie Jones. Number one.
Okay. Number four that we have is Edgar Davids.
Edgar Davids. Yeah, he was a tough player as well. I probably wouldn't. Gattuso, I'd probably put in front of him to be fair. But let's go three. Let's see what you got the last one.
I go with the last one. Maybe I'll make it a top six then. Just to, I have two names that I want to mention.
Okay.
First off, I will do Pepe.
Pepe. Oh, as in the Real Madrid Pepe, Porto.
Yeah, the Portuguese defender.
Oh, actually, I'd like to play against him because I'd like to kick his ass. I'm going to go six because I'd like to make him cry on the pitch. So yeah, six.
And then I like Joey Barton.
Oh, horrible man. Horrible man. Another one. Like, yeah, I suppose you wouldn't want to play against him because you're not sure what he's capable of. But in another way, I'd love to play him so I could put one on him. But yeah, let's put him in as two because he would be a horrible player to play against. But yeah,
Okay.
it's another one that you would love to get a late tackle on.
Yeah, it's a tough list to make, but yeah, definitely can be
It's a
done.
tough list because they are horrible players to play against, but also if you fancy yourself against them, do you know what I mean? You'd like to give them the opportunity.
Exactly. Maybe I will rephrase it next time to you don't want to get fouled off of someone. And
Yeah,
no,
I think Joe. I think it is fair though what he's saying, like, but yeah, Vinnie Jones is the number one. I wouldn't dare trying to put it on him. You know, Joe Barton, you'd like to give as good as you get, you know, but Vinnie Jones just stay away, isn't it?
yeah, and I asked for the list, I looked up the list and notable mentions, and I don't know the players, but I do like the name. Terry Butcher. It's a
Terry Butcher,
name.
yeah, well, he's always famous for having bloodied bandages across his head all the time playing for England.
And the other name is Ron Chopper Harris.
Yeah, Chopper Harris. Chopper Harris. That goes back to the days where I think I mentioned it before in the 60s or 70s, where Leeds and Chelsea had lots of FA Cup matches, lots of relays, a big rivalry between Chelsea and Leeds, and he was very much a part of that. Chopper Harris. I hear that from my dad all the time.
Okay, I think with these list of names, we can start the mean team, and
The
then
mean, yeah, the mean team. Yeah, absolutely. No, some good names there.
okay, that was it.
Okay, let's move on and finalise with the Accas then, Rob. We've alluded to them already. What is going to be your big gun Acca?
My big gun Acca. This time it's gonna be made up by some real big teams. First off, Real Madrid,
Real Madrid.
Inter Milan, Barcelona, and Arsenal. So they are, you can mix them all together. It's a 4-4 for 2.6. It is some bets that I think are quite short, to be honest, but it's a real big Gun Acca with big teams playing at home, or at least they're big favorites to win those matches. So yeah, that's my big Gun Acca.
Yeah, that feels like a blast from the past, Big Gun Acca. That's an original. That's a Champions League style Big Gun Acca, the right sort of price to more than double your money. Apart from the fact that Real Madrid are on my naughty list forever, that should be a winner.
Yeah, the only thing that helped me was that they are playing Girona, and Girona is a team that we like to fade when they're playing away from home. So
Exactly.
that helped. And the Arsenal game is also a tough one with West Ham United. I think a derby might always cook something different up, but definitely strengthened by the result of midweek of Liverpool. Arsenal should get the win. And similar of a line for Inter Milan and Barcelona.
Okay, Student Archive mentioned these teams as I've gone along purposely this week because I didn't have many official value picks this weekend. There just wasn't any in that price range that I tend to like. So yeah, these are all the teams that I really fancy put into one ACCA. Look, it's unlikely you get 7 teams like this all to win in the weekend. That's why it's a long shot ACCA. But definitely the teams that I like, either gut feeling or statistical reasons why I like these teams. So look, make up your own doubles. Like any 2 of these teams make up even money or better. Any 3, then obviously you're going closer to 3.0 and above, things like that. So these are the teams that I like. Play them how you want, but there's definitely hopefully some enough winners in this list. Okay, so we've got Red Bull Leipzig against Heidenheim, Bayern Munich, which was my gut feeling against Eintracht Frankfurt, Brighton at worst team Southampton, Bournemouth, cautious pick against Wolves, Marseille playing Auxerre, Ajax and FC Twente in the Eredivisie, and together that makes up an ACK of 17.5.
Okay, sounds good. I like it.
Okay, that brings us close to the end of the pod. Just before we sign off, we'll recap that a little bit. Obviously, we've got our ACCAs there. We did also have some leans, if you want to call them, in the Premier League. We have a little lean towards Aston Villa against Chelsea at 2.6. We both leaned the opposite ways in the Man City Liverpool game, very much a game to stay away from. I leaned slightly towards Man City. Rob leaned slightly towards
Liverpool,
Liverpool.
we're
Yeah,
both biased.
we have a nice pick, I think, good value in the Serie A with Napoli. We had a good potential double there with the Lazio and Atalanta as well. So yeah, plenty to chew on this weekend, and yeah, good luck whatever you do. Rob, where can people find us?
Yeah, you can find us across almost every platform available. You can find us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and on different kind of platforms to listen to podcasts as well. You can find us on our socials. We are on X, we are on Instagram, we are on Threads, and we are on Blue Sky. And just put in the betting connection, just type it in and just find the clover, and there you find us.
Okay. Don't forget to leave 5-star reviews, to subscribe, and to engage with us as well. Let us know what you're picking for the weekends. Let us know what you like, what you don't like from what we've discussed today. We'll be back over the weekend, leaving some shorter pods on specific matches, especially as we get closer to the games and get some team news. All that's left for me to say is ciao for now.
Happy betting.